Hi, I'm Andy Jones, Content Editor for Plaid's online education program, Let's Paint. Today in the Plaid Studios, I'm going to teach you all about dry brushing. We're going to learn how to create form using values. It's a really important technique, and I think you're going to enjoy it. One of the most important techniques is dry brushing. And this is a very versatile technique, and I generally use it to create highlights in my paintings. And today I'm going to show you how to create form using value. So right now I have a circle, and it's a flat, two-dimensional circle. And I've made it gray with pure black and titanium white. So to create form, we have to have a value change. So I'm going to brush mix my gray color that I base coated my circle and some titanium white. I'm going to come back here, and I'm just created a slightly lighter value. Value refers to how light or how dark any given color is. So to create form and to dry brush, I'm going to take my circle and I'm going to create a highlight in the upper left quadrant. So first thing I need to do is to check my color. So I'm going to touch the brush to the surface, and I should see a little difference in value. I don't see very much difference there. So I'm going to add a little bit more white and brush mix that in. Then test on my surface, and there's a difference in the base coat and this color. So in order to dry brush, I want to wipe the excess paint off of my brush. So my brush is barely loaded with paint. I want to start in the area where I want my highlight to be the brightest, and I'm going to gently brush a large area. Start where I want it to be the brightest, and notice that I'm flipping the brush over and I'm making an X motion, pivoting from one corner of the brush to the other corner. This should cover a wide area. Now I'm going to come back to my gray, and I'm going to add additional titanium white, brush mix a lighter value. This is going to be somewhat repetitious, but I want to drive the point home. First thing you want to do is check the color. It should look slightly lighter. If it doesn't look lighter, stop. Come back, add a little bit more white. There's no sense in painting a layer on that you can't see. Doesn't do you any good. So check your value. If you can see that it's slightly lighter, take the excess paint off your brush, start where you want that highlight to be the brightest, and then feather that lighter value out, pivoting from one corner of the brush to another. I'm going to make another layer, lighter value, check the color. It should appear brighter. Take the excess paint off the brush and begin to feather the color out. Each layer occupies slightly less space than the layer before. So think to yourself, lighter color, smaller area. Again, adding more white. Just brush mix. Check the color. If it doesn't look a value lighter, stop yourself. Add a little bit more white. Mix the color. Test it again. You have to mix a little brains in with your paint and pay attention to what you're doing. So we're going to start where we want our highlight to be the brightest, and we're going to cover a slightly smaller area. If you have too much paint on your brush, you'll know it instantly because you won't be able to feather the paint away from the highlight area. And you're wondering, how many layers is he going to put on this? I don't know. You just make one value change at a time, always testing the color, making sure that you can see a difference, that it's not too great. Again, test the color, take the excess paint off of your brush, start where you want the highlight to be the brightest, and then feather the color away. And you can see that our highlight is developing. Continue to add a little white and check the color each time. This gets to be kind of therapeutic and very soothing to do once you completely understand the process. You have to have value change in order to create form. If everything's the same value, then it's going to appear flat, whatever it is you're painting. So the more value change you have, the more rounded an object will appear. So always checking the paint value before I continue forward. It's got to appear lighter. Take the excess paint off the brush and cover a slightly smaller area. Again, and if you're doing this correctly, your paint's going to dry very, very rapidly. So it's not like you're going to have to wait between layers of color to move on to the next one, because that's completely dry. The important things to remember: each layer should be a lighter value, and you check that each and every time. If you can't see a difference between the previous color and what you're about to put on, don't waste your time. Stop, lighten it, and then apply the lighter color. As the values get much brighter, covering a smaller area, and you can see the value change. So again, adding more white, checking it. Need to add a little bit more white there. Check the value, take the excess paint off your brush, and cover a slightly smaller area. This moves faster as you get up toward the final highlight because you're painting a much smaller area each time. The excess paint off your brush, you don't want too much paint on, and then you can see as we're coming down to the final highlight, it's going to be almost exclusively white. I haven't stopped to clean my brush in water and added any water to my paint. It's dry brushing. I think we're almost there. Just going to add a little more white. Check that value. That's about as light as we can go. So you can see that from this lighter area, it gets gradually darker as you move away, and that's how you create form. This is important technique to master. So take your time, paint a few circles, all with your same gray, and then each time build up your highlight step by step, adding just a little more white each time. I'd like to recap just a few key points from the lesson. We've taken a circle, and by creating a change in value from dark to light, we've now changed it from just a circle into a sphere. The change in value creates the form. I also want to point out that I've been using a filbert brush. It's shaped like a flat brush, except it has rounded corners on it, so that as you paint, and as I was moving the brush each way, you don't create any harsh lines with a filbert brush. So I think it's important that you use the right brush for the job. And again, value creates form. Change in value takes a circle and turns it into a sphere, and using the proper brush, a nice filbert brush, you save yourself from harsh corner marks.